Hi,
Hello.
welcome to Does It Suck with Nick, Lance, and Amber.
Mm,
This month we watched the 2009 film Daybreakers with Ethan Hawke, William Dafoe, and Sam Neill.
yes.
So
And so it was your turn to pick.
it was my turn to pick,
Yeah.
and I almost ended up going with Interview,
Mm-hmm.
as I've been threatening to do for a while now.
Yep.
But it's kind of been a rough few weeks. Lance has had a new position, and he sometimes has to work late. And this week,
That's
when
a,
we were
that-
having to watch it,
that's a long movie.
that was a long movie, and it was just like. So I had been kind of looking at other options just in case, because I wasn't completely sold, even though I have feelings for Interview. I was just like, let's let me look at some other options, and I
Mhm.
stumbled across the trailer for Daybreakers, which apparently I was the only one who hadn't seen
That's. I
it.
wonder if you didn't go with us, but
No, because this was around the time where you guys were always going to like 9, 10 o'clock movies, and I was
okay.
like, "Fuck that."
I guess that's probably the case. 'Cause I know I went to see it with Lance and probably Joe
Yeah, but I didn't.
because we saw the trailer for this and it was a plot in one of Joe's games that he ran where
Yeah,
we saw the trailer and we're like, this is your game, Joe.
but
To be fair, he ran it like a month or a month and a half before we saw the trailer, and then
Yeah.
it was I'm not going to spoil anything, but basically we ran the game. We're like, oh man, that was a really great concept for a game. He's like, thanks guys, and then the trailer came out. We were like, Joe, did you copy this trailer? He's like, no, I swear to God.
No, it was
like
just it's
it,
just
yeah,
lateral thinking.
yeah.
but so I looked at it and I was a little intrigued, and
Mhm.
then I was like, "This feels like a spiritual successor to Ultraviolet," which I happen to have enjoyed. So I was like, "What the hell? Let's go for it."
Yeah, it's definitely got things in common.
And it had a shorter runtime, and based on what I saw, I was like, this feels like it'll be actiony. So if it's a long week, it'll be more likely to keep him engaged. So you
I
guys
did.
are welcome for this choice because I assumed my husband would be too tired to watch Interview with
I
the
didn't. I
Vampire.
didn't fall asleep once.
Yeah, shall we go into scores?
Yes. So now we're gonna go into our scores. These are our actual easy to understand scores because they'll be from 0 to 10, making five a nice middle number. Later on, we'll give you more kind of iffy subjective scores that are open to your own interpretation.
That's the more fun score. Whereas, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah. But Lance,
Mm.
on a scale of 0 to 10, what would you give the 2009 film Daybreakers with your favorite William the Friend?
That's such good luck. It was so good. I would give this movie an 8.
One
Wow.
higher than I thought.
I thought you would give it a
A
6.
7.
I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Oh wow. All right. So, Nick, on a scale of 0 to 10, what would you give this?
I'm gonna give it a 7.
Yay!
It was pretty. It was pretty good. I like this movie. I mean, when you mentioned this movie, I'm like, oh, Daybreakers. I think I have this on DVD. I did not.
But I
But
knew where it was, so I had
yeah,
like.
yeah. Well, it's one I thought I would have bought. I mean, when we're recording it, it's nice and easy on Amazon. But by the time this video is out, it's not going to be.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not.
It's leaving at the end of October, so
Get on it.
it will be gone by the time this comes.
So it might be a little bit harder to track down. But I mean, Ethan Hawke, Willem Dafoe,
Sam Neill.
Sam Neill.
I love Sam Neill.
It's got some good
I
actors in
love
it.
Sam Neill. He's
I think
so great.
I think it's a decent flick.
Yeah.
Guy had the funny hat in the Star Wars prequels.
Yes. Captain something or other of
Yeah.
Queen Amidala's army or
Yeah.
whatever. He was a senator in this one. All right, Amber, what would you give it?
I would give this a solid 7.
Okay, I went low.
I actually really enjoyed this film.
Okay.
About as much as I enjoyed Ultraviolet, which I think I also gave a 7.
It's Ultraviolet is a weird, actiony, stylistic kind of weird movie.
But
This one
it's
is
similar
definitely
concept.
yes. This one is definitely it doesn't have the style that Ultraviolet was going.
This
was
one,
going
this
for.
one that I called when we were watching. I said this feels like Ultraviolet, but noir edition.
Yes, and it kind of just gets rid of all the sci-fi sort of stuff. Oh, thank you, Bing. Um, it gets rid of sort of the weird sci-fi
Yeah,
stuff, and
but
it's more
there's
it's our future. So it's got a little bit of future tech to it, but not to the point where it's like, man, this is unbelievable. It's more like they can lower shields in the car and drive by camera. So stuff that's much,
It was interesting, and there's a lot of stuff that I had some thoughts about a few things.
which I guess. So spoiler warning.
Spoilers.
Track it down if you can. I think it's worth it.
It's worth watching once,
Yeah.
at least.
Hey, fuck. You didn't say spoilers for you said like
Shields.
shields of the windows and shit. Fuck.
Fine. So track it down if you can. Maybe it'll come back around to Amazon. Maybe it was on Amazon for October.
Yeah.
I know they do that occasionally. Just filter stuff back in and to keep you subscribed.
If you like William Dafoe,
I feel like William Dafoe, he has the best lines in this film.
I have a feeling that he read the script and he was like, man, some goofy shit here. My lines are fucking fire. I'm in. Yeah.
All right. So well, you have been warned.
You still there?
Yeah.
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 They're gone.
All right. I think Daybreakers is a solid movie. I really thought I owned it, and I should probably own it, but it's probably going to be hard to find nowadays. Maybe.
It's just like, I was shocked I was the only one who hadn't seen it. But as we were watching it, and he's like, I'm pretty sure, he was like, I've seen this. I was like, yeah, we got the scene in Ed's house with the starving guy, and I was like, yeah, I have never seen this movie before, because that one I would have remembered.
I guess to get the game story out of the way is we were playing a spycraft game or whatever where we were hopping to different dimensions, and our characters went to one dimension, we were walking around, and everything seemed normal. And then we came across one person, and we had to like our face character, I think was probably you, just happened to said like, man, maybe you can tell us what's going on around here. Like we're not super familiar with this world. See, we're from the underground, which was the name he gave for his human squad of people that were kind of trying to subvert the vampires that we didn't know they were vampires. And it turns out he came up with a plot where vampires ruled the world and humans were kind of like existed in this underground, trying to evade capture. Otherwise, they would get put into human farms.
Yeah,
So
and I remember the guy was like, wait a minute, are you human? And I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
Oh yeah, it's you have her just say the word underground. Like he showed us written down. Like I called it the underground, and just in bullshitty kind of like we're from the underground, and it just kind of whatever. So that just kind of always stuck in our head to the point when Joe finally said, I don't remember who it was, but like someone was like, check out this trailer. It's exactly like the plot that Joe came up with like months ago. And I'm like, we have to see this movie now.
Except I didn't get.
So I didn't remember seeing this movie initially, and then Amber, as we started watching it, I was kind of like, this is all very familiar. And she goes, she said, Nick is fairly certain that you, him, and Joe went and saw this in the theater. And like as it's continued on, I was like, okay, I remember which one this was now. It took me a second, but like watching it last night, it was like watching it all over for the first time again. It was great.
Fairly certain. I was 100% certain we went to. Like she said, I'm thinking of this movie that's kind of like Ultraviolet called Daybreakers. I'm like, oh yeah, I like that movie.
That's why I knew what to kind of like rein in for
Yeah.
Nick, because I knew above board that he said he liked.
Oh, yeah, I like this movie. It's good. But time might have made me like it less. But I think it's about where I thought it was before.
I mean, it was a fun movie. I was pleasantly surprised. There was some stuff that I was like, but for the most part, it's fine.
Some of the ND bits are kind of like weird, but for the most part, like the premise is good.
Yeah.
I like the vampires own everything, and it's kind of the human farms were kind of like grotesque or whatever. You just kind of see people like hung up on racks and with just tubes coming out of them.
Yeah.
Like these
And just
desiccated bodies.
And over time, every time you would walk by like the room, there were just less, like fewer and fewer people. And for some reason, I remembered a scene, but I guess it must have just been my imagination, like when they were wheeling bodies out for them to be like, yeah, send them down to the grinder. So I thought they were, for some reason, I remembered them when the human died, grinding them up to get all the like.
Oh yeah.
To get all the juice out of that lemon.
This blood has meat in it. Yeah, this was the best movie that I don't remember watching. I thoroughly enjoyed it from beginning to end. I thought that William Dafoe's lines were fantastic. I loved the twist about how to cure it. I did not remember that whatsoever.
Yeah, the curing scene was definitely intense.
Yeah, but I think that's what I dug most about it is that
I did enjoy that one.
For what they were requesting, like what they were saying, it was completely feasible. Like it makes sense, but it would be like the last fucking thing that you want me to fucking do what?
Yeah, so
You want me to stand in the sun for 5 seconds?
yeah, the cure is to be
So
in the
basically,
sun
Immolated.
just enough
that it burns out the
that it
virus.
burns out the virus.
So and I like that because it suggests that the combustion of the cells is because of the virus,
Yeah.
and
And then
that normally it
it
just doesn't,
emulates the person too.
it emulates them, and then they just die and they erupt. And so it gave a scientific rationale for it, which you don't normally get
It's
because
definitely
vampirism is normally mystical.
and this one's definitely a scientific
Yeah,
sort of
and I
vampire.
enjoyed that. Although it feels like the fact that they were seeking him out because he was a hematologist had absolutely nothing to do with what he ends up discovering. Because that was, it was, you launched yourself through a windshield, caught on fire, and then landed in water and cured yourself. That was the cure, not we're going to get this hematologist who's sympathetic to humans and have him help us find a blood cure, which was closer to what Ultraviolet was doing.
I think it was more found this doctor. He's a blood doctor, and he helped us out. Maybe he can find a cure.
Well, in true scientific fashion, it's the stuff that we stumble on that's always like the cure,
This is
like
true.
penicillin. You know, like it's just
I was driving at night, and I was driving during the day because I'm a vampire or whatever, and then I happened to uh, not pay attention, or whatever, like hit a thing, fly through the windshield, burn up just enough before I fell in the water and quenched it out of me. Like that's not repeatable.
Yeah.
yeah. But see, the thing that
How fast were you driving?
The thing
How many
that-
cars do you have?
the thing that I also thought funny about that is that when you looked at Defoe, you could see like the scars, the mottled skin, like on his throat and everything like that.
I thought that was the bite scar.
Well, I mean, it looked like he had like a lot of modeling on this side, like a lot, before the dude bit him at the end of the movie. And then Ethan Hawke gets it burnt off him, and he's still pristine and beautiful with big rippling muscles.
Might have been less that it was from the burns and more that he did get launched through a windshield and the vampirism got cured out of him probably before he fully healed. So that could have been scars from that.
And see, when it showed the scars, I thought it was the puncture wound scars.
Yeah.
And that was just the skin around probably a violent transformation.
Which is-
whereas Ethan's
It's
it
had
didn't,
very-
didn't sound violent, but it did sound forced.
Well-
Like his brother turned him, but we don't necessarily know if it was bite
Yeah.
or blood. Who knows? I don't know how else you got.
He had the pinpricks, and his brother had very subtle
Oh, and
pinpricks.
by the way, the pinpricks drove me crazy too because they were side by side here, so the vampire had to been like instead of like coming in from the side where they'd be like that, and they were like
I didn't even see him.
yeah, it's like they had to go,
Yeah.
you know, but like that was driving me nuts because she was like,
The only
I
thing
see the
I
thing.
think is they held the neck that way and then went in. And if you did that, you could get.
You know,
If you
kind of
force the head to the side, you could probably do it. And if and it sounds like early on during the conversion that basically there was that you could, people like his brother could take people in and do a forced conversion.
Yeah, which it sounded like what happened.
Yeah.
So here's the other thing I did not like about this movie. All the vampires were not strong, fast.
That
Like,
wasn't
they
what
were-
the spot was.
It was just they were just blood-sucking immortals that had a serious aversion to the sun until you went fucking like blood-starved, and then you started getting all the vampire stuff.
I mean, they were also resilient.
Yeah, but I mean, it was.
Well, they shot that one guy, and then they're like stitching him up, and I was like, he's a vampire. He should heal, right? No, stitching him up. Yeah, you should be fine in a couple of days. And I was kind of like, okay.
It's still a lot faster
A
than most
couple of
people
days
do.
for a gunshot wound. It's just not. It's not supernatural fast.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
medically fast.
It's like the humans almost seemed like they were more supernatural because like the girl shows up in the apartment, she's like, "Be at this address," and the guy like looks down and he looks up, she Batman's his ass, and she's just gone, and he's like,
It felt like as they starved and became more bat-like is when they got more of the ability. So it seems like the whatever disease that they had gotten from the bats, because in the opening sequence they're going through some like news articles and stuff, and it was like one bat did it all. COVID.
One.
But they were going through it, and it feels like they kept calling it mutations, but they were becoming more bat-like, and then more bat-like they became, the more
monstrous in
Yeah.
like actually having strength and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but their brain is gone.
Yeah.
And they could
They became-
fly, and they could fucking dig in with their fucking toe.
Did they show them actually flying?
Like, I don't know if
They
it.
kind of did when they were under the like. So we kept
Yeah,
occasionally getting the.
when you would come up from below ground and kind of see like all the crazy
You kind
people.
of would see sometimes at least a glide.
Yeah.
They were very much like Last Night of the Demeter kind of looking though, and I really dug the look. I was like, I dug how monstrous they were looking.
It's like a bat.
It was one thing I didn't like was how freaking like as much as Sam Neill's daughter hated him. I don't remember his character's name.
Yeah, it's hard.
Bromley or was the name of the company.
That's not thanks.
But as much as his daughter hated him when they finally caught her, and he forced her to become a vampire,
Yeah.
forced her to become a vampire, and then she just decided just to like, I'm just going to mutilate myself instead. She wouldn't eat, so she just started eating herself, which forced her into the mutation cycle that quickly. It seemed crazy how fast that happened.
Well, they even said from when the other thing died, it had self-inflicted wounds, and it seemed like feeding on your vampiric blood forced the conversion happen faster, and feeding on your own vampiric blood made it yet still faster.
Yeah.
And then it kind of gave this hint that like time passes.
See, and that was the thing. I didn't really feel like it gave a lot of time.
It didn't tell us how much, but there was at least a month.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they did the whole building the thing.
Well, it's during before
They were
before Ethan like went to join the humans. He said we have a month's supply before we're dry, and during the end confrontation, they show that the human farms are empty.
Yeah, so
at least a month has gone by.
It just seemed like she was there, and then suddenly she's being escorted out with all the rest of them.
Yeah.
And she refuses to eat her daily ration.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, okay, I guess just put her in the chain gang and rip her out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the execution squad.
I will say, like, I was kind of hoping for a minute there that she was going to end up being that they were going to do a little bit of a subversion from the opening scene, which that opening scene was amazing, but it was at the same time like, whew.
Yeah.
But they had the little girl had written the letter, and she's like, I don't want to live like this, because she was basically perpetually a child, something that is normally horrific in every vampire movie. You do not turn children because they never grow up.
Yeah.
It's a common theme anytime you have children vampires.
I want some more.
But I was wondering when they introduced his daughter, if they were going to roll back and be like, this was his daughter.
Yeah.
Because it stood out that they pointed out that letter in her, and she came from a wealthy place.
Yeah, that initial scene ended up not connecting to the rest of the movie at all.
Yeah.
It was just kind of an
introduction of, hey, it's
here's the
vampires.
world. Yeah, here's the world that it is, and
Yeah.
like that.
And so I was expecting that, we were going to find out that she was really like that, and then, that she somehow put herself out, or somebody put her out, and she was the first cure, but then they were quieting that because they didn't want to know that there was a cure.
Like initially when they were kind of Sam Neill was talking about like what went on with his daughter, I thought that was just kind of like, oh, that was his daughter.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't want to do the conversion, so he forced it on her, and she walked out into the sunset or something like that. Sunrise. But then she comes back later and like, okay.
That's when I was like, well, then was she the first cure? And they were quieting it, kind of like a lot of stuff that happened to Ultraviolet. Because I did look this up when I saw the trailer to see if there was a connection to Ultraviolet, and the director did take some inspiration from Ultraviolet for this film. There was a couple other things, but Ultraviolet was, because it was like, this just felt a little too on the nose for having recently watched Ultraviolet again. That I was like,
it's like a pandemic occurs, and if you get the disease, you've got it forever.
Yeah.
And then you have to feed on the people who don't have it.
Yeah.
And indirectly feeding on the people who don't have it, you give it to them, and now they have to. So it's kind of sort of pandemic thing that has occurred and just changed the world, I presume.
Yeah, and I really dug so much of it. I did not like the fact that they're using tranq darts, but then shot a guy in the eye, because I was like,
wasn't on purpose.
But I'm sorry, if I shot you in the eye with a tranquilizer dart, I'm pretty sure you're dead.
Well, I'm just saying, those two soldiers probably ran up there.
Your eye. It's your eye.
Well, I'm sure.
People can survive with one eye.
I'm sure those two soldiers like
But
ran.
the tranquilizer's going directly up to here. I think that's bad. I think you need to hit center mass.
Go ahead.
Oh, um, I think those two soldiers that ran up and saw that one of them were hit in the eye was like, okay, I guess we're eating them here.
I
And
mean,
then they
it's
sucked
still
his
like
blood, and they're like, oh, that was really.
it's a very similar problem to after we watched Ninja Turtles, when I'm like, don't kill them, they make blood. Like, don't drain them until they're dead. Like,
Yeah,
drain them a little bit, and like people make this shit.
But yeah, it's like, yeah,
it's what I never
it's good.
understood. That
Yeah.
like why didn't they, that was the other problem was especially when you had people who were hematologists. Like, well, if we just let them heal, their blood supply will come back. You keep them fed and you keep them watered and relatively healthy, and yeah, they might not like being on a blood farm, but you could farm them for blood without killing
What
them.
about all these fancy racks we built? We got to use the fancy
I
racks.
mean, you can put them in the rack still. Just have like the saline solution going in one arm and the blood coming out.
Oh, so then you make it a little bit more matrixy.
Yeah, sure. Just matrix these people and turn it into put a feeding tube in them.
This blood tastes watery. Is this only 5% blood? No, I want all of it.
I like that scene too when the coffee was down to 5%, and he reached for the bag and the blood went everywhere, and so they started going ravenous. And even after they closed the thing, the two people that were behind the counter were just kind of like
Yeah, they went
they went ravenous too because they all wanted it.
they all frenzied. Yeah.
It was a neat premise. It was definitely a neat premise. I thought one of my joys of watching is when you laughed when the soldier was trying the first cure or the first. They pumped the thing and he's like, your temperature might go up a little bit, and then like the dude's like, I'm on fire, like he's all breaking out and shit.
Well, it's going a lot more than we expected. Then it starts getting bad.
Yeah, and then it was
So-
like.
I laughed when he.
Yeah, it's like they got him back and all the welts went away and he's healing and everything's fine, and then he went ow and then exploded.
Just his head.
And Amber was just like she was dying at that part. And that gave me so much joy. But yeah, like this movie was just, even though we had seen it in theater before, like to me watching it was like the first time again.
To be fair, you probably watched it in 2009.
That's very fair. It's very
But
fair.
I want to say this is like my third time seeing this movie. So that's why I thought I owned it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I watched it after, which maybe, I mean, 2009, I guess we could rent stuff back then. Maybe I watched it on like a Netflix or something like that. Like at some point in time and watched it again. And I'm like, I remember this movie.
Yep. When Amber suggested, I was like, oh, this movie's going to blow. And then I started watching, I was like, wait a minute. I think I kind of remember this one. And then that's when she affirmed. Nick said y'all went and saw it in the theater. I was like, oh, there it is. Okay, I remember now.
Yeah, I know I didn't see it because there was way too many graphic, gory crap.
I remember that I saw it at the weirdest part. It was when he hit the car that had the humans in it. And then he's like, just go, get in the car. And when he like protected them, that's when I was like, wait a minute, I have seen this before. Which is like a weird part. I would have thought it'd been like an actiony part that would have reminded me, but no, that part's what brought me back. I like the attention to detail they did in it when Ethan Hawke started going a little
batty.
Yeah, batty, and he got the ear. He had the one ear that was kind of pointed, and the girl's like, how long has it been since you ate? And he's like, oh, no, I'm good. She's like, I can't have you as a fucking liability. I need you to focus. And he, like, drank it, and then in the very next scene, it was gone.
He's got normal ears again.
Yeah, but, like, there was a lot of great detail, a lot of good attention to detail. The storyline was original and neat. You'd be hard-pressed to find things that you wouldn't like about this movie. Like, the only thing I saw that was, like, vampire-y is when this soldier healed. He had all the fucking blemishes and yuck. Yeah. And then they were like, okay, let's reverse this. And then he instantly healed back up. Everything looked fine. And then he popped like a fucking melon. He turned inside out.
And
exploded.
It was great. It was wonderful. There was something about it that I was going on about last night, and I can't remember.
Was it something you didn't like?
No, I think it was just something to do with some of the end scenes, but I don't remember.
It definitely seems, I don't know if rushed and at the ending, or maybe not as well put together, because the ending is like.
I mean, okay. I liked that. Like, I knew as soon as his brother attacked Frankie attacked Elvis.
Yeah.
And Ethan Hawke was about to go Ed was about to do something to his brother and then stopped and paused and then immediately cut to him at the building.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, clearly
Clearly
eating off of somebody who has found the cure, create the cure,
also cures,
which then would allow the cure to spread like a virus. So it's like clearly that was what happened in that moment. So when he walked in, it's like, okay, he's just gonna go force the guy to eat him and then cure everybody. And so I enjoyed that. But there was something that was going on, and I was just like, I remember just being like, not sure. I love the fact that they all devolved into this breeding frenzy every time there was a human, and it just kept spreading and spreading and spreading. But then I'm sitting here going, the way that it was spreading, it's like, so they're just gonna cannibalize each other and eradicate, and then now Ed and what's her futs are going to have to repopulate humankind anyways.
Yeah, it just kind of definitely seems you've got starving soldiers, and the second they smell human, they're like, screw that guy, and then they myrtleize him.
Yeah.
It's like when Sam Neill went down, they were like pulling his limbs off and just like sucking on the arms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was great.
I mean, but think about it. Like, they did figure out the perfect way to heal everyone, but everyone was in such a frenzy that's like one person would walk out like, hey guys, what's going on over here? And everyone would fucking attack them.
Oh, yeah.
Then they all became, like, I loved that cascade.
It was cool. Where at the end you just have a couple humans standing around being like, what happened?
I knew the minute that...
Sneak back to the house.
I also knew when they went and found Chris, his old partner, and Chris was on the phone, and he tucked it into his pocket. I was like, I don't think he turned the phone off. I didn't say that loud, but in my head, I don't think he turned the phone off.
He didn't do the end call thing. He just kind of slipped it right in there.
So it was the least of surprises to see that, oh no, that had been listening the whole time.
Yeah, it's one other thing that I really dug about the movie is that if you think about it, when Sam Neill was like taunting Ethan Hawke at the end of the movie, and he's like, I always thought the cure would come from you. Because you're like the fucking brilliant person, you're the guy I put all the fucking dominoes, but no, it was your buddy that like figured it out. And then at the end, when his friend that figured it out, it was kind of like, it was never about curing people, it was just about basically making money off of it. Of course it was.
Well, they weren't trying to find a cure, they were trying to find synthetic blood.
They were trying to find a substitute that they could.
So it's not that he found the cure, it's that like, I don't need like whatever you're doing, because we found the synthetic blood that will maintain the population.
All they wanted to do, they wanted to be able to maintain the human population, but be able to sell it for their blood.
There's always someone that'll pay more.
Basically, it was the Shadowrun. Only the rich get to eat real meat.
Yeah.
And this is why I will never eat any impossible meat.
Yeah.
Because I have played too much Cyberpunk Shadowrun stuff where only the wealthy get to eat the real shit, and fuck you, I'm having my meat.
Well, when Burger King put out the Impossible Whopper, which was the vegetable-based patty, I was gonna slip one into her burger because I remember she went off on that rant the first time they put out the thing. They're like, "Oh, look at this fucking plant-based meat. It tastes just like the real thing." Blah. And she was like, "Fuck that, not eating it." And I was like, "Why not?" She's like, "Yeah, this is how they get you. They get you used to eating the soy-based products that are made by plants. The next thing you know, only people can avoid, rich people can avoid cow." And I was like, you're being paranoid." And then like a couple of years after that, it was like the price of beef skyrockets. I was like, "Oh fuck, it's happening. It's coming true." But I was going to take one of those fucking Impossible Whoppers and I was going to slide it into a regular Whopper one night when we went to Burger King just to see if she'd notice. And then but I went to work when I was thinking about doing that. I actually ordered an Impossible Whopper and a normal Whopper. Opened the Impossible Whopper, went right in the trash can. Opened up the normal Whopper. Yeah, it didn't. It tasted weird. So
just like a familiar but off or something like that.
It's hard to describe it, but
double meat is double sweet.
Was that Double Meat Palace?
It was double. Yeah, of course it's double meat.
Double meat is double sweet.
I don't remember that show as well, YouTube, but
favorite TV show of all time. Come on.
It was also synthetic meat.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up specifically.
Or it was plant based.
Yeah, I can't remember why. It didn't taste right. It tasted funky. So that's why I threw it.
It was people.
I imagine
people?
if you didn't eat burgers because I've not had it myself. So we eat hamburgers enough that if you put something that's hamburger adjacent, it's going to taste weird. But if you stopped eating hamburgers and then time passed and then you picked up an Impossible Burger and ate it, it probably would taste closer to meat at that point in time.
We replaced Nick's normal beef patty with an Impossible Meat Burger. Let's see if you notice.
Bullshit.
This shit tastes like
Carrot stew.
shit tastes like carrot stew. But yeah, this movie was just an unexpected surprise. I love the cascade effect. It's great to know that the cure can simply be done by a blood transfusion now.
It's how bad does Ethan feel? Be like, I could have just drank your blood. I was in a fucking vat. I burned like 4 or 5 times. It was awful.
Well, like before that, I looked at Amber before they did like the turn at the end of the movie about like a vampire drinking from a regular human, and I went, so they're gonna be like, okay, we have a cure, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna put you in a chair, we're gonna strap you down,
Yep.
and then we're gonna hit you with fucking UV rays for about 5 seconds, and you're going to burn like a fucking Roman candle, and then we're gonna put wet blankets on you, and everyone's like, you fucking what? Yeah, that it sounds horrid.
Yeah.
Especially to like the first time you see like what was it, William Defoe's, he's flying through the fucking air on fire and he's just like, he looks like Ghost Rider. It was hilarious. And then fucking Ethan, he looked like he was just getting fucking nailed. But yeah,
Played his brother. I'll have to look that up. I've got.
Yeah,
we can't look.
Yeah, I don't want to accidentally do this.
enjoyed his brother too.
It's good.
Yeah, we can't look.
I liked how his initial showed up when he's like, I brought the vintage bottle of human blood or whatever. It's like, dude, I don't want to drink human blood.
Yeah, service has its privileges. And then he started dumping it down the sink. Ah, dude, if I'd have been a vampire and we were in a shortage, I'd been in the sink like,
And they definitely did well to make that look, because a lot of times in movies when they pour blood, it pours like water. This was actually pouring like a thick, viscous,
K-Ro syrup.
yeah, like a syrup more than blood, I imagine. But still, it was not that very watery. Like, look, it's blood.
Michael Dorman. I don't even know what you know Michael Dorman from, but he looks familiar.
It's for the blonde dude.
He kind of reminds me of the guy from all the Paul Walker.
Okay.
Kind of reminds me of him.
Yeah, I didn't recognize him other than from this.
Paul Walker, like Fast and Furious?
Yeah, he kind of looks like him, but it's obviously not him because I at least know who Paul Walker is.
It helps that he didn't have hair in that particular one, so it kind of, I don't know. I oftentimes see people.
Yeah, no, he was in one of the Pirates movies as a side person, and he was somebody in The Invisible Man that came out in 2020, but
Yeah.
I don't remember who Tom Griffin was in that movie, so I don't know. I don't remember. I don't.
You know why why he looked like you associate him with Paul Walker? Probably because he's family. Family.
But all right, so Nick,
Yep.
I think this is actually going to weirdly check a decent amount of boxes.
It might. So, blood dependency.
Yes.
Yeah. Immortality.
Yes.
Physical prowess.
It depends on what part of the cycle they're.
Only near the starving cycle. So
I'd say that's now.
a tiny tick, because it's very conditional.
They can get there, but they have to become malnourished.
They have to become a monster essentially.
Yeah.
Magical prowess.
No.
Magical blood. Vampire blood heals, acts as a drug, makes vampires. So
Yes.
it's magical blood in that it's diseased. It's a blood based disease.
Sure.
Nigh unkillable.
No, they seem like they died pretty easy.
Oh yeah, like a stake to the heart makes them explode.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They
But if you hit them in other places, it's yes and no.
Yeah, I don't know if you would like shoot them in the belly if they just be like, that hurts.
Well, that's what they did to
Or if they would
Ethan.
bleed out,
They
yeah.
shot him in the shoulder and he was like, ah. And then when they shot him through the arm. He's like, fucking stop.
Yeah.
And then his daughter,
Yeah.
Charles, Sam Neill's character Charles, I saw that earlier just now.
Oh, yeah, he got stabbed.
And he was stabbed in the belly.
So I think that's because us calling it nigh unkillable means there are certain things you have to do in order to kill him.
So I think that's a yes.
So yes. Shape shifting.
I mean,
That's
When you get angry.
the weird thing is more of the monster / predatory
Yeah.
than they can't willingly like
change the
flop
form.
between forms.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's in the movie, then I think it should check the box because it's just.
It's like Nosferatu. Yeah. Like shape changing is bats, wolves, mist. Like there, you've got different forms that you take. Whereas like Nosferatu, he doesn't shapeshift. He is monstrous. He looks like a bat.
Which is a different kind.
Distinctive appearance. They got
Yeah,
fangs, fangs and pale.
And the yellow eyes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they all have the eyes. Cough dependency.
No.
Monstrous predatory.
Yes.
Okay, especially with the one of them being stalking / hunting. Yeah, they were hunting down humanity. Tragic figure.
I mean,
Kind of, but not really.
Yeah.
No, they didn't put one up here as kind of like that. He be mournful of the way he has to live his life. It's not really that kind of movie.
Especially since the beginning, they were just like, okay, well, they might have been afraid of it when it first started happening, but then they were kind of like, okay, well, you live forever.
Yeah.
And basically, they're just going to hunt humans. So, yeah, let's do it.
Sam Neill definitely had what might have been a tragic life, but in becoming a vampire, he was happy. So it kind of got rid of the tragic figure background. More like, I was dying of cancer. Now I'm immortal. Life is awesome.
I mean, Ethan could have been somewhat tragic for the fact that he didn't want to be, and his brother forced him on.
That is probably the biggest
him
thing.
Being the main character, he himself was tragic, but vampires in and of themselves are not tragic.
No.
In this.
Randy.
No.
Hierarchy. Not in vampire terms, more of in corporate terms. Sunlight weakness.
Yes.
Holy weakness.
No.
Forbiddance. No. Water weakness.
No.
The only thing that would tick for silver weakness is no reflection.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that. It was so weird. He's just like, here are my posts.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, I think the first shot they showed him in the car, they showed the rearview mirror, and you just see his clothes sitting there. And then I like the small touch that like whenever he would pull down the mirror and look at it, you can see that it's a camera picking him up and kind of like reflecting it back like in the little panel or whatever. Yeah. And I guess they tie it all back in because all of those car mods were kind of like Elvis kind of came up with that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat. The little technology.
Except that opening scene.
Yeah. And Garlic weakness. Nope. So.
Decent amount still.
Yeah, it takes a few. Blood and mortality. Kind of physical prowess. We'll get
I always feel like.
Magic blood, 9 killable. Distinctive appearance. Monstrous. And sunlight weakness.
And silver weakness.
And a little bit of a... So I would say 7-ish. Almost 8-ish. Between 7 and 8.
So less than half.
Less than half.
But that's still pretty good. That's not bad.
More than you might expect for a disease-based vampire movie. We'd have to check to see if it was more than Ultraviolet, but Ultraviolet had a lot of this stuff too. Mm-hmm. No shape shifting, but their physical prowess was a full yes.
Yeah.
But
Bitch was riding motorcycles on the side of buildings.
But they also didn't really have sunlight weakness to the same extent.
No, it was more of like it was uncomfortable or whatever.
Yeah. So. Whereas they were full on.
Oh, this one is like
10 seconds and you're dead. But I thought it was funny of it's sunlight weakness unless it's indirect sunlight. Then you just need a hat and some glasses, just like in Buffy.
Yeah, it was like when he was under the tree or whatever. He was like dodging the beams that were coming through the.
But I just liked it. It was like indirect sunlight. That's okay.
Also, the part when he got out of the car and when he was under the tree, he like looks up through the trees and the sun is clearly coming through, but apparently it wasn't enough to like burn him.
Well, they also show. I mean,
they were showing where the beams are actually hitting the ground. Rather, like I said, the whole shaded under the tree was indirect sunlight at that point,
and it also seemed like you needed to have the sunlight hit skin because you would have the soldiers like in their full. I got to go into the sun. The sunlight outfit or whatever, because his brother kind of came up on him. So with Ethan being like in a full suit with like a hat overcoming it, he had like his face and like his hands uncovered. Oh, I think he was wearing gloves too, wasn't
he? He kitted up pretty good.
Yeah, he was in his sunlight suit.
To drive away from the military vehicles where they were shooting holes, and he's like, like that shit was fucking great.
That was a fun scene too. So, I mean, it was always the sun was always behind them, no matter how they turned. So that's a little weird, but it made for an interesting. Yeah. Like whenever they would turn, the sunbeam would come rake across and just kind of like burn his face a little bit. And it's neat.
All right, so let's do the scores.
All right, we're gonna start with IMDb. Nick, what would you think on IMDb?
6.8.
Wait. It's this closer. 6.4.
Yeah.
We're not going to do the Metacritic.
No.
All right. Lance, what did the critics give it on Rotten Tomatoes?
Well, tomatoes. This is percentage, right?
Yeah.
Let's say the critics gave it a 72.
I'm gonna go 57.
69.
Hey.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nick, what did the audience give it?
67.
Lance?
83.
49.
Wow.
That was the earlier. I
Wow.
was like,
49.
huh. I was like, I would have thought it would have been reversed.
Yeah.
I would have thought the critics were harsher than the audience, but
Yeah.
apparently the audience was not a fan.
So maybe the critics just love Sam Neill and Ethan Hawke.
I mean, who doesn't love Sam? I mean, I really love Sam Neill in this.
Yeah. So Sam Neill was good. I liked Willem Dafoe. I liked Ethan Hawke.
Anyway, make a sub channel called "Why Do You Hate Joy?" when we do movies where the critics gave it more than the audience.
All I want to know is like, who doesn't love Sam Neill? I can't think of any movie of his, no matter how cheesy and terrible it's supposed to be, that I don't enjoy. Sam Neill is so good in most everything, even if he's playing a cheesy character. Like the one
in a lot of.
Part 3.
I can think of about.
It is hilarious though, and it makes up for it.
Austin does that now, by the way. Yeah.
I can only think of like 4 movies with Sam Neill. 2 of them are Jurassic Parks,
He was in the
and then the space one, Event Horizon.
yeah, he's in Event Horizon. He was also in
The madness.
Oh, that's a good movie.
seriously, he actually was in what's that one, Mist of Avalon, which is more of a TV series movie, but he was Merlin. He was motherfucking Merlin.
Okay.
He does a lot, but I think he's also one of those Shakespearean actors who.
He has like a ranch or a farm or something like that, and like he acts occasionally. He doesn't act because he needs to, because it's more of like, I want to do this. So he'll kind of like come out of retirement to act. And I was looking on Twitter, and I guess he has cancer in remission at the moment. So he's kind of maybe near the end and kind of expecting it to potentially come back.
Get well soon, Sam.
Yeah. So hopefully,
He's unfortunately getting up there in age. So.
No.
But yeah, there's not many. I can't think of a Sam Neill movie I dislike.
Yeah. I mean, not really. No. I mean,
Surely. Like Jurassic Park 3 was.
I think a lot of them would have to be movies I have also seen, which I imagine is probably a small percentage of the list.
All right, so Jurassic Park. Which one was Jurassic Park 2? Is that Jeff Goldblum? That movie's fucking horrible. I don't think I've ever truly watched Jurassic Park 3.
It's not great, but it's not because of Sam Neill.
I've watched it up to.
Which that part's great, especially out of context, and you're like, "What the fuck are they doing
You
in
could
this
just
movie?"
click on Daybreakers and then.
I can just click on Sam Neill. See, Jurassic Park. We've never seen that one. Memoirs of an Invisible Man.
Never seen that
It's
one.
got Chevy Chase in it.
I mean, I think he was in probably one of the newer Jurassic Park movies.
He was, which I've not watched
Which I've not
because I
watched.
think
He was in Love and Thunder.
he was one.
He was actor of them. That's right.
Let's see. He was in the new Jurassic Worlds.
Yeah, but see, I haven't watched any of the Jurassic Worlds after the first one because I watched the first Jurassic World and go, oh, this was Lance's feelings about The Force Awakens, and therefore I understand how he felt now, and I understand his hatred and revulsion of the movie, and have never watched any of the other Jurassic Worlds.
Yep.
Because it was a hugely terrible derivative mess of Jurassic Park, and it's just like it was dumb.
It was a movie where, like, did you like the T-Rex? Did you like the Raptors? We put all of them in one diner. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
And for some reason, we keep making the T-Rex the hero.
Yeah, I don't get it.
But I was like, it's such an awful, awful movie. And I know this isn't a review of the Jurassic World movies, but it's still, I hated them.
I think Sam Neill's movies are going to consist of movies I like and movies I've never seen.
Yeah, he's in a lot of weird shit here.
He gets he chooses what he wants to do, not what he has to do.
Yeah, he's not.
He's in the Legend of the Guardians, the Owls of Ghoul.
Yeah, he's not picking roles because they're going to make him a fuck ton of money. He's picking roles because he's interesting.
For the most part are like 6s on IMDb. There's a 4 point. But
He sounds about to
In
work.
her skin. Yeah, there's a lot of. He was in the Tudors.
Probably.
He was in Angel,
He was in Merlin.
Merlin. Yeah, he's in a lot of
Yeah.
weird shit here. But anyways,
Is there anything else we want to say about Daybreakers? I mean, I guess beyond the before we get to the final question.
it's fun. It's engaging. I had been working a 14 and a half hour day that day and then came home and took care of a kid. So it was inevitable. I should have fallen asleep in my chair.
Yeah.
Did not fall asleep once. Was completely wide awake all the way through
Mm-hmm.
and was just like, yeah, that was a good movie. Thanks
Yep.
for picking that one out. So I say, I gave it an 8. It's worth a watch.
It sucks, as it were.
It definitely sucks.
So I guess that's the question. Does it suck?
Yes, as a vampire movie, it sucks.
It sucks.
Which is a thumbs up.
Yes, that's very good.
I would say that it does indeed suck. And human blood, because nobody wants that yucky blood substitute.
It puts you in a farm and drains all your blood.
It sucks so much you turn human.
Which
Yeah,
I
then
did
another guy
have
eats
to,
you.
which I did have to explain to Lance that they had the human chick that he was digging on. That they hadn't bit
Yeah.
her, because he was like, "Isn't she a vampire?" And I was like, "No, they didn't bite her. They had her wrist
Yeah.
just
They
slightly." It was almost like
tapped
the
her.
Masters in the Wishverse. That's the kind of the vibe I got. Where in the Wishverse, the Masters machine that was going to drain people at the bronze, it was very similar to that, but just for her wrists.
Yeah.
Milking you?
Pretty
I
much.
thought they had her tapped.
Yeah.
But it was just done like
On her wrist.
super roughly.
But it was on both of her wrists, because and then she was sitting there where they could just
And
drain it
really
all.
not.
Yeah, but
Because
it
you don't
was slow.
really-
But it was slow.
Yeah, 'cause you don't-
Tap.
And it's fear. Mm.
So you
It's a
definitely
lovely.
you want it slow.
Bouquet
You don't want to
fear.
bite them because if you bite them, they get converted, and then they're not a food source anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, not only that, but it doesn't seem like you could stop. It's like fucking Ruffles or whatever the hell. Once you pop, you can't stop. Pringles.
Pretty sure Sam Neill's character never suffered the true effects. He claimed, "Oh, even I," but he had like 1,500 bottles of blood, just
Don't worry, I'm down to 100% blood. What were you drinking before?
300%.
That's you take a bunch of people's blood and you squeeze it, and so your drink, like one gulp is like 3 gulps of blood.
Well, I hope you got a little bit of enjoyment out of our review of Daybreakers.
Yep.
And hopefully you'll go and watch this movie.
Yeah, track it
Find
down.
it.
Track
Find
it
it
down if
because
you can.
you're probably well off Amazon Prime now.
If it's rentable, I think it's worth it.
Yeah,
If
it's
you-
definitely
if you
worth
could
it.
spend like $4 or $5 renting it.
But the
Get
algorithm
some people together, watch it.
But the algorithm tells us that you didn't watch this far. So none of this information is being imparted. So thanks for watching, Amber.
Yes, if you've watched this far, thank you.
Franklin.
I guess join us.
Tim
Nick-
sometimes will get all the way.
I guess join us next week for something else, and join us next month when it's my turn to pick a vampire movie. And who knows? Who knows what's coming? I don't know.
Blood Rain 2.
Is it finally time for Blood Rain 2? Is it time for Underworld? Is it time for something else? Because I need to just pick up a list and just start going through. It's going to be December. Maybe it's time for 40 Days a Night. I don't know. Well, maybe it will be a Christmas vampire movie.
Ooh, is there Christmas here?
I don't know.
Not really. We looked into that, I think, last year and couldn't find any.
I think December was also my turn last year. I mean, if there's 3 of us and we're doing it monthly, it's going to be the same months every time.
Yeah.
So I guess join us next week for something else, and join us next month for more vampire stuff.
Or don't. It's your life.
Yeah. Let us know if you watch this movie, if you like it.
Yeah, and if you have a request for a vampire movie that we haven't gotten to, feel free to drop it in. One of us will probably pick it up.
I'm curious if there's other vampirism as disease movies. I mean, if there's some and you know them, let us know. We've gotten 2 so far.
And we've enjoyed both of them.
Yeah, they're good.
Rage-infected monkeys.
We are not the sort of people that must require vampires be mystical and come from like Dracula or something. Like, whatever. Like, just give it to us.
I'm
Some
not a fan
beautiful
of
people
the
that-
sparkly ones, but
We
whatever.
even watched one of the sparkly ones, and,
I know.
and it was not the vampire's
I
fault.
just need to tell you something about one of them. About one of the sequels that I saw a clip from that might get the rest of them back up into the running, just so we can get to that one.
No. Well, it ain't gonna be me because not enough people watched it, and it's
You don't have to watch them in order. You could just we can go straight to fucking 4. It's fine.
nah. We gonna that's
No, you can't go
what
straight
I'm
for
gonna
it, 'cause
miss out on the Bella Jacob intimacy.
We can go on YouTube and been like 3 movies in 23 seconds, and then they could just give us all the fucking major beats.
Lance, after all the conversations we've had, where we say we can't jump into season 4 of a show.
When it comes to Twilight, I think we can though.
No. Well,
No.
but I'm not saying we're gonna watch it anytime soon.
No.
But I just want to let you know because it was kind of funny.
Mm.
All right, so bye everybody.
Bye.
See ya.